Thank you, Miguel, and magandang umaga, buenos dias, annyeonghaseyo, buongiorno. All right, first of all, I'd like to give a very good news, particularly for the Philippines Public Employment Service officers present. Yesterday, we got a confirmation from the Office of the President that he will be signing the amendment of the Public Employment Service Office Act during our National PESO Congress next week. So if you see me there doing other things, my mind is here and there. All right, that's a very good news because we really had a struggle in terms of our public employment service in the country. The existing law was passed in 1999, and yet it remains unfunded until now. So our public employment service has been established and has been institutionalized through the strong collaboration between and among the Department of Labor and Employment and our local government units. And our networks have already grown from merely around 50 or something. Now we're more than 1,400 strong local government unit-based PESOs, and we also have NGOs and also educational institution PESOs. So that's really a milestone year again for the public employment service in the Philippines. And I'm happy to share that with our global partners in public employment service. Okay, now we move on to my presentation. I guess the Secretary mentioned most of what I will be presenting this afternoon, so it's mostly a visual of the President's speech. But nonetheless, I'll try to discuss it briefly, but sweet as well. So if we move on to the next slide presentation. This is from the last State of the Nation address of President Benigno S. Aquino III, our president. And he is acknowledging the improving labor market situation in the country since he started his presidency. And it boils down to his instruction for the Department of Labor and Employment, the Department of Education, the Commission on Higher Education, and the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority to work together to address the job and skills mismatch. And so in 2014, he mentioned in his State of the Nation address that we have the lowest unemployment situation in the country in the last decade or so. So that's a good news for us. And this job and skills matching agenda, there are four main agenda or major agenda of the Philippines. I'll be focusing on the third and the fourth in my presentation because this is where the Department of Labor and Employment and also our public employment services and our network of career guidance counselors and advocates in the country are very strong in terms of implementation and collaboration. All right. This is the entire LMI system of the Philippines. But please note that this is still a work in progress. This is our vision. This is our dream. Some of the items that you would see, like the data sources and the multi-channel tools, they are already existing, but there are still enhancements that we will make. And this is through the help also of our private sector partners, because you know very well that the resources of the government is very small. That's why we value our partnership with the private sector, who has that knowledge as well and has that resources to make our LMI system functioning and modernized and also improved one. So the data sources that we have for our LMI system comes at the lowest political unit in the country, and we call that our barangays. So we collect information at the barangay level, and this is being processed by our public employment service offices. Then we have that skills registry system, where we put all our sources of supply data. And now in the enhancement of the PhilJobNet and our subsystem SRS, we will be also including the demand data for the SRS. Soon, in our future expansion, there will be data coming from the Commission on Higher Education regarding their graduates, regarding also the educational institutions. And we have, for the Department of Health, we'll have the health workers database. For the DOST, or the Science and Technology Department, we'll have our R&D and scientist database. And for our National Reintegration Center for OFWs, we will come up with a database of our returning workers, because we want to keep here. We want them to come back and put employment opportunities, bring their expertise they learned abroad, and share it with our Filipino talents. We are working with our data sharing at the moment with our Philippine Overseas Employment Agencies, because they are the ones handling the overseas operations, what's the job available in the global market. And Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, the Professional Regulation Commission, and the National Maritime Polytechnic, or NMP, for our maritime talents. The multi-tool channels, I'll be discussing them one by one in the succeeding slides. So this is the labor market information of the country at the macro level, and the data is being generated by our Philippine Statistics Authority of the National Economic Development Authority. So if you look between 2010 and July of 2015, we have really improved in terms of our employment situation. We started with 8% for our unemployment rate in 2010. Now it's down to 6.5% as of July 2015 labor force survey round. We have also made a dent in terms of youth unemployment, which started at 17.6% during the Aquino administration, and now it's down to 16.4%. But this remains our challenge, the youth unemployment, because if we will note that the youth still comprise 50% of our unemployed population, and this is around 1.3 million. And then their unemployment rate is also more than half of the national unemployment rate, which is at 16.4% for our youth unemployment rate. The other challenge that we are facing is in terms of our educated unemployed. We see around 1.2 million Filipinos unemployed who have reached or graduated high school or secondary education. They account for about 44.5%. And in terms of those who have reached or graduated tertiary or college education, there's about 1 million of them, or 35.8%. Another glaring challenge that we are faced in our labor market is in terms of the soft skills of our job seekers, particularly among the youth. This data here is from our Philippine Statistics Authority, and it tells us that the recruitment requirement of the employers in terms of entry-level positions, and they found out that our job seekers are having poor skill on organization, planning, critical and creative thinking, and also decision-making. And this is what we always emphasize, that soft skill is very important for our job seekers. You know that the millennials, the youth, they have we can say that everything is served in a silver platter. So if they, after graduation, they apply for a job, they want high-paying job. They want a job that's near their place or their residence. They want a job that instead of an entry-level position, they want to be a manager because they are a graduate of this and that university. So, and if the boss is angry at them or mad at them or giving them a lot of work, and then they would just easily quit. So they don't have that patience anymore, unlike in my generation. All right. The other information that I'll be giving you is, this is a result of a survey from our partner, jobstreet.com. You will be visiting them this afternoon. And it also tells us about the behavioral and functional skills requirement of the job seekers. So the willingness to learn, the initiative, and honesty and integrity continue to be the most important qualities that employers consider for our fresh graduates. On the other hand, the most prized hard skills in fresh graduates are communication skills and trainability. So what do we do? At the macro level, at the micro or administrative level, the labor market information is stored in our PhilJobNet. So the data that's coming from our barangays, our regions, our local level are stored and processed in our PhilJobNet. And the PhilJobNet is the government's official job and LMI portal, and it's free for our public. Okay. The skills registry system, this is a live registry of skills in our, where information also comes at the community level. This forms part as a subsystem of our PhilJobNet. Okay. So this is how it looks like. They have to fill in their basic information in a sheet like this. They can either do it online or they can do it offline as well. When using offline, the data are being stored in the JobNet or in our system through our public employment service offices. Okay, the other feature of our existing LMI system is the incorporation of the talent scorecard. There was a presentation yesterday about the Talent Map initiative where we are assessing the 21st century skills of our different types of workers. So we have already incorporated the talent mapping initiative in our LMI system. This is forward-looking, hopefully by 2015. 2016, I mean. Okay. We also have the skills data warehouse. This is what is a work in progress. The skills data warehouse will tell us, we'll be able to verify certificates of national registration for our skills, and also we can verify the licenses of our professionals. So if there's an applicant applying for a job and claim to be a professional so-and-so, then you can easily verify that using our data warehouse. The upcoming feature of our data warehouse would be the inclusion of those from the maritime professions. Also, our higher education health professionals, the STEM or the science, technology, engineering, and math professions, and our OFWs. So this will be the future inclusions in our labor market system. In that corner, in our LMI corner, you would see publications of our LMI. The biggest is, I think, the thick one, which is the JobsFit report that we have recently published. So the JobsFit tells us about the key employment generators and also the emerging industry. This is being updated every 2 years through the consultations at the national and local level. So we have identified the key employment generators and also the emerging industries in the country, and we give these signals to our education and training institutions so that we are able to influence them in terms of reviewing their training and education curricula, so that that output that they produced will also be accepted by our demanders of skills. In the recent publication of our Jobs Fit report, we have identified 275 in-demand occupations and 102 hard-to-fill occupations. In demand because these are the jobs that you often see advertised, or there's a high transition or attrition rate. And for the hard-to-fill occupations, employers find it like a year or more before they can fill in a specific position. So some examples of the in-demand occupations in our IT BPM industry would be the animator, customer service representatives, database administration, so on and so forth. Our IT BPM industry always needs something like 10,000 workers, but we really cannot supply them. So what they do is they partner with government, and there's a bridging course for the near hires in the IT BPM sector. So examples of the hard-to-fill occupations in the transport and logistics would be the CNC machinist. They are the producers of the very small parts of the aircraft. And what we've done to address the problem of the industry is that we offered them assistance in terms of training by the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority and also the Department of Science and Technology. And I think there was a skill shortage sometime 5 or 6 years ago, because the CNC machinists are in demand also abroad, for instance, in Canada and other parts of the world. So we are losing our talents to other countries. And so what we did is we have to replenish our supply through training and government intervention. And so far, they are coping with the shortage because of the government's intervention. Okay. Our field job net is already online. What do you call it? There's a mobile application for our field job net. So if you're using iOS or Android, you can already download our field job net mobile application. This is also in response to the many youth people who are having these gadgets here and there. So we're moving in our technology as well. You've seen a job search kiosk there. Hopefully you're able to browse through it and look at the information that's available. It works both offline and online also. The other channel that we are using to disseminate labor market information is our network of career guidance counselors. We have 108 networks with 5,000 members nationwide, and they are helping us disseminate LMI for high school students. What's the in-demand in the market? What's the hard-to-fill occupations in the market? And the theme that we have captured in the language of the youth, particularly, is follow the guide, tag a career, and like the future. So to capture our youth market, okay? This is my last slide. What are the challenges of our LMIS system? So we're seeing that for an LMIS to be effective, we really need information coming from the demanders of skill. So a greater collaboration for the private sector is really needed, because sometimes we do have difficulty when we consult our private sector or industries. They would say that this and that, they need this and that, but they really cannot give us the exact number or what very specific occupation or skills they need. So there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of the demanders of skills also. The other is in terms of the producers or sources of information of different clients with specific needs. So we cater to different clients. We have the persons with disabilities, we have the women, we have the youth, we have also the senior citizens. Okay, so that's a challenge for us, how to navigate these clients into job positions that would fit in their needs and demands as well. And then there's also a need for us to improve public awareness and user-friendliness of our LMIS. In my talk in Youth Congress, they're saying that they were surprised that the government is really doing a lot in terms of labor market information. But that did not reach them, particularly those in the far-flung areas, Tawi-Tawi, northern part, southern part. We're not reaching them. So it's a challenge as well for us from the government, how we will be able to reach these clients also. And we have a dearth of number in guidance counselors. We only have around 2,000 nationwide, but we need around 6,000 to 7,000. And so what we're doing is we really have our career guidance advocates. So we strengthen them. We also give them capacity building through our professional regulatory board on guidance counseling. And so that's a remaining challenge for us. So with that, we thank you and maraming salamat. Mabuhay po.